Hi, I'm Cash, and welcome back to Cash Talks Football, where we break down all the goals scored in the Premier League. Using my over 20 plus years of coaching experience, I teach you a little bit about coaching. We're not really here as a fan channel, we are really here to help you learn about the old football. So if you want to become a better coach or a manager, this is the place to be. Right now, I watched a lot of Chelsea's pre-season games. You can check those out on my channel, and honestly, they were just conceding goals. Now, one of those things is, if you're playing like a defensive system, which Chelsea really were, with a lot of possession, but not really attacking forward, that's absolutely fine. But that means you've got to actually not concede goals. And they concede some sloppy goals here. They really do. Right now, I want you to keep an eye on, look, one, you've got two players not being marked. Not goal side, not goal side. You actually need to be dealing with this, but actually telling the player, the centre-back here, to come back and deal with him. So, what the rule really is the player behind is not his responsibility, it's his responsibility here. So it should be Cucurella's responsibility, but he's too far away, and he really should have a centre-back getting goal side right here. He is way too far away for it to really be his problem, and his body shape is wrong. He's facing the wrong way, okay, to deal with this. He really is. So, and also, this pass that comes all the way across. Now, I want you to look at this as well. You've got a player here, again, not goal side, and they're just really poor from Chelsea. This pass that comes across, no one can step up and cut it out. Look at that. Dribbles across here. Nobody can really cut that pass out because no one is in a position to. Look, again, completely and utterly unmarked. You've got two players unmarked in the box, and one of them is Erling Haaland. That is just unacceptable. It bobbles through because you don't know what to do. Do you go to the player in front of you or mark the player behind you? You should have marked the player behind you. You really should have. And if he did go to the player in front of him, he probably would have cut that ball out because he would have been close enough. But he doesn't do either of those. Now, everyone's going to blame Cucurella here because they don't know anything about football and they think that he should have be able to get in and make a challenge. The guy that's literally 1 yard away from him, who let him be unmarked behind him, it's his responsibility. Let's draw a big arrow on his head so you come see who it is. Be this chappy here. The guy running here that's about 5 yards away, okay, can't really get in the challenge, and you'll see when he goes to hit him, he starts worrying about giving away a penalty. Just watch his body language as he goes to attack this pass. This ball here. Bosh. Right, Cucurella, you see, he's putting his arms up, not trying to really make a tackle because he's worried about giving a penalty away. The other centre-back does a terrible job, and Haaland kicks it in the net box. That is too easy. I think the keeper should have stayed big and strong and not panicked and run off the line. And I don't think Haaland would have been able to get a decent shot off there. If the keeper just was big and wide, he wasn't. He just made himself small, and Haaland slots it in. Chelsea are going to, well, I think they'll get a little bit better, but the biggest problem is they never look like they're going to score a goal on you. So defensively, I think they will get better, but and the reason I say that is because there was a lot of times when they had a bank of 5 in front of their bank of 4, and they looked like they were going to defend the ball quite well. They reduced City's chances to outside of the box shots over and over again. But Chelsea, I don't know what they're doing. They've reset their whole team system again by getting rid of Pochettino. And at the end of last season, they were doing okay. Not good, but they were doing okay. Now they're back to square one again, and everything is just all over the place. We'll see where they are in about 5 games. I'll give a real opinion on them. Let's get on to the next goal. Before we do, though, I just want to show you that body language from Cucurella. Like, oh no, I'm not fouling him. That's exactly what he's looking to do there. He's not looking at the ball. Not that he could tackle him anyway. But his priority was there. It's like he's not fouling him after he's fouled him. But there we go. I'm also going to cover, I think there's a couple of incidences that people thought was going to be a penalty, but it isn't, and I'll show you why. This is a little clip I'm going to show you because it's going to, later on when I show you the actual goal from Man City, you're going to see why it happens. Can you see this right here? You've got a player, 2 players running, right, and the Chelsea player ignores the football. He goes with the runner. Now, what should happen right here is the runner should be handed off to Cucurella, and this guy should be putting pressure on the ball. This is basics, okay? And the reason why is Cucurella isn't in a position where he can make a tackle, and he is. All he has to do is turn and face the ball, and he can win the ball, right? And then, as this run goes, he carries on and follows the run. But watch how neither of these players have a clue what to do. So as this moves forward, watch. He goes to tackle the ball, which he can't do. Then he leaves the player on the run. So both things go wrong, right? Both things are completely wrong. He can't tackle him now because he wasn't really watching where the ball was going, or the runner into the middle of the field. So he didn't actually watch the ball. He was actually too busy watching the runner. So he's been pulled completely out of position. And then Kevin De Bruyne, I think, ends up having a shot here. But the fact that these two players can't just switch on and off and understand, okay, well, I'm in the wrong spot and he's coming across here and the centre midfielder isn't trying to win the ball. He's tracking the runner, which I can do. Like, this is simple stuff, right? It really is simple stuff. And that becomes, to the centre midfielder, too busy running around and not actually being a little bit relaxed and understanding his role is to make sure someone can't run through the middle of the field with a football, which is what just happened there. Let's move it on. Okay, so in real time, I thought this was a pen all day long. I was looking at this going, definitely a penalty. Twice this weekend I've got penalty decisions wrong. One was the Everton game when the Everton player actually stood on his foot and then the other guy moved his foot away and the Everton player fell down. So if you look at it real time, it looks like he's kicked the Everton player, but he hasn't. Same sort of scenario here. I'm going to explain it a little bit more from the other angle. But seeing this, Dosh, I thought that was a penalty all day long. But let me show you from the other angle and let me tell you why. So yes, 100% it's a foul, and here's the problem. It's not a penalty because he's not in the box, and that's why the VAR is not calling it. They're looking at that going, right, he's not in the box when he's got pushed over, so it's not a clear and obvious error. If he's one step further forward, he is in the box, it is a penalty. They can't give the free kick because that's not what VAR do. They would have given the penalty if he was in the box. He wasn't, so they can't give it. But the problem they've got with the VAR is that's very sort of hard to communicate in real time to anybody watching the game. When you're watching the highlights and you look back and you go, oh, look, his foot's not in the box. Yeah, it's not a penalty because he's not inside the box. Makes sense. Yeah. But let's move on. Okay, this comes from Chelsea trying to clear the ball out. And they knock it straight to Kovacic here, who obviously I think he used to play for Chelsea. But this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So if you look at the way Man City are pressing the ball, they do it the same way that they're doing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they'll leave a pocket of space. There'll always be one pocket of space that they can't pressure, which is absolutely okay. Well, that's just the way it goes. However, Chelsea players can't identify that and see, right, we can't just smack it here. We have to try to play like more of a crossfield ball or do something different than actually put it into the pocket that they want it. They want it on this side. They're pressuring this side, and yet we're going to pump it to that side where they've got more players than us, and we're going to put it into the air. And there's always this thing where you put the ball in the air, and then either two things can happen. Either you win it or you don't. I know it sounds silly, but when you pass it on the ground, there's an 80% chance of you getting the pass. But when you put it in the air, it's a 50-50 because you never know if someone's going to tackle you ahead of you. It makes everything more difficult. So the moment they put that in the air, but this is where I'm going to come back to that run again. Do you remember when that player was marking the other player and he ignored the football? Right? Watch these two clowns right here. Whoever this Chelsea defensive midfielder is, he's too busy marking the player and not paying attention to where the ball is, right? So first off, what he really needs to be doing is holding his space, not getting sucked out. This is the old trick. If you're a striker, you'd run back in here to receive the ball, so the centre-back would come out and leave the space in behind you. Watch what this Chelsea midfielder does here. As we move this on, he just gets suckered straight in, and then you can see he doesn't really go towards the ball properly because see that little stutter step? He followed the player 1-2 steps over to the little to the side, and he opened up that gap behind him. You can see this gap right here. Blop, 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 blop. No one else is trying to get back into shape and understand. This guy is just going to run straight through and kick it into the net box. Now, I also think the keeper does a poor job on this shot, but comes out from you, getting pulled away again from the player because you're following the player and you're not really trying to keep your shape, structure, or understand where the ball is going. If you don't do any of those three things and you just follow the player around, you're going to get pulled apart by good teams because he'll just make a run, somebody will play the ball in behind you, and they'll just take shots all day long from that space that you've just opened up. So let's just move it on as he goes forward. Can you see he's just half a yard off? He's got to make that curvier run. He's got to like bend his way around to try to tackle the player, and he can't get there. And now also this guy here hasn't sort of noticed that, and he hasn't stepped over across to try to shut down the gap or shut down the midfield area. Let's move it forward just a little bit. By the time he does, look, it's already too late. Too late, because he was tracking the player, and no one was really analysing the fact that the space is dangerous, and they needed to keep their shape. The minute that ball was pumped forward, they need to panic and go, right, where do we need to be to protect our back four? No, they just follow some players around. And of course, if they're doing stuff like that, the easiest way to beat them is just dribble the ball past them. And that's exactly what happens. Then he takes a nothing shot. Look at the keeper, though. He should have this all day long, and he doesn't. He gets a hand to it. If he gets a hand to it, he should have got it around the post, but he doesn't. So as it moves forward, bosh, 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 and there goes the shot, and it's straight into the net box. Not good enough from Chelsea, really. City didn't really put out their best side, and they just won comfortably away from home 2-0. But there we go. I think that's what Man City does. Other than that, I'll see you next time on Cash Talks Football.